Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation. Hey, welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. And here we are, the three amigos. Got Frank Lomelli over that way, Rick Rivera here, and I'm Chris Lawler, and we're all certified dads.
Yes.
Our wives say we're totally certifiable. And they know what they're talking about. And so, you know, with this, the Hey Dad Podcast was created so that we could reach young guys that either don't have fathers or they have difficult relationships and they are hungry for that kind of leadership. They're hungry for the little life hacks that would come from your dad.
Yeah.
That's who we are. We all have had very different experiences in our lives, and we're just going to pick off topics, talk about it, and maybe you'll find something you could use.
Yes.
So what we're going to tee up today is dealing with your mother. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I wonder how many guys out there, like, they raise their eyebrows at that one or even cringe a little bit.
As much as I know this topic is needed, I have a little bit of dread in me on this one. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, because we all got moms, you know?
Yeah.
And the question is, how do you love and honor your mother without letting her completely take over your life and suck the life out of you? Suffocate you. That's the word I'm looking for.
You know, in our home, I had a rough upbringing with my dad, and I've talked enough about my dad. I don't ever think I ever talked about my mom much, but believe it or not, you know, she was the one that was able to keep the balance, if you can call it that. But because my mother kind of it was only my sister and I. My sister's 9 years younger. My mom was overly cautious, worried, nurturing, overly, because I think she felt my dad wasn't doing it. And so she kind of took the role of both, you know, and yeah, I mean, I knew she meant well at times, but it was really tough, man, because it was kind of like that, monkey on your back, so to speak. And I mean it in a loving way, because I loved my mother. My mother's gone on to be with the Lord, and so has my father. They were great parents. They had their flaws. But my mother, man, you could not, I mean, if picture a monkey on your back, you couldn't pry her off of her son.
Wow.
And she just was so protective over me, even to when I was older.
Yeah.
You know, and even though I would make mistakes or whatever, I would never lie to my mom. I couldn't lie to my mom. And we were really close because I would tell her my deepest secrets. And which I wish I could have had that with my dad, but I didn't. But with her, I had, and you know, my mom, I don't even remember her getting mad ever. She's like, mainly like, oh, my baby, you know?
Yeah.
But then by the same token, it was always like, you know, what are you doing? Where are you going? I want you to do this, and I want you to do this. If you do that, look at them. Look at, you know, it was like, oh. But, you know, she was great.
It's that expectation. If you're a woman, you give birth, and you're living the first decade, 2 decades, raising a child that's dependent upon you in every way. And you're watching them grow up, and you're seeing their tendencies emerge and their talents emerge, and also the scary things emerge. You want to be involved with that story.
Yeah.
You want to be in there as it unfolds.
Yeah.
But right when the woman wants to be in there the most, the guy is starting to feel like, okay, we need to shut this off a bit because I'm getting ready to launch.
Yeah.
And I never gave it a thought, but how hard is that?
I know.
I never really understood that until just right now that you're saying, I'm thinking like, whoa, it's even went straight to me.
The scripture says a man shall leave his mother and father, right? But that word leave means tear apart.
Yeah.
Tear apart. And so
what's this cleave, right? Like,
and so it's a painful process, especially for the mothers out there.
Wow.
You know,
I never thought about
you
that.
never think about it from their perspective.
The way you put it, I was like, man, you've been involved with this kid since you had him.
Well, think about it. You know, they're a mama bird. They've been sitting on an egg for a long time. And that egg represents our childhood.
Yeah.
Where you're totally covered in a protective covering. They make your meals. They wash your clothes. They set things out. They go to your PTA meetings. They talk to your teachers. I mean, fully involved, fully enmeshed. That's the word.
Yeah.
In how you're growing up with the concern that I'm going to make sure that nothing happens to my precious boy.
And I think she takes that for
and
life.
that's sitting on that egg. But there comes a time where the chick inside that egg is getting too big for the egg.
Yeah.
And they start pecking. And this puts a panic in a mom. Like, what are you doing? You're breaking the egg, you know? And the pecking keeps on happening because I ain't got no room here and I got to grow. And if that mother doesn't realize I got to get off this egg, she's going to get pecked in the butt. And there you got the conflict where, Mom, you're in my business, you're in my stuff. And sometimes the only way you feel it can break free is that tearing away of violence almost. Not physical violence, but emotional violence, especially to a mother whose heart is so wide open and so tender to you know?
And who's loved you so much in your case, you know what I mean? Like, how do you, she's invested so much into you, now you're taking off, usually because of another woman.
Now think about this.
Yeah, exactly.
With that they deal with, I never thought her knowing that her husband is failing as a father, how much more she feels that she has to take charge.
Oh yeah, because you've got to double
and she
down.
doesn't know, she's not geared to be a man.
Yeah.
But she's trying to figure it out. When in her emotional state, that's hard enough. But then to try to feel like I got to fill in that void because my husband is not being a father to my son. And that's what was happening in our home.
Yeah.
But you said something that made me think, because I never thought about that. And it's the tearing away after all those years of just, it came out of you, that bond. It's forever for her. For us, is not. I want to fly. I want to get out.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you honor your mom? How do you manage that, especially if you're in the middle of that? And so, young guys, we're going to tell you how to do it. Here's your life hack. One is recognize who she is and what she is dealing with. And her struggle is not the same as your struggle.
Yeah.
And it's not even the same as your father's struggle if you got a dad in the picture. Her emotional involvement in you is a huge vulnerability. That doesn't mean you got to kowtow to it, because sometimes you just make that worse. You make it worse if you become a mama's boy where you're running to her for everything.
Yeah.
But you want to have a heart of sympathy and a heart of mercy for what's going on, and talk about, the parts where I think my mom, what she wanted out of me, aside from the outcomes, obviously, she wants me to do this, want to do that. She just wants to be in the communication loop as I'm going through changes. And I remember a time where, I'm deep in my hormones, I'm changing, life is changing. The volatility is like, in me, is going insane. But for some reason, God gave me the presence of mind to sit down with my mom and have this conversation, something like this, I'm paraphrasing. Mom, I know that I feel like I'm completely wild and I could do anything. And I realize that I'm like a bull in a china shop inside me. And I could break your heart, and I could break your life, and I could trample over things that are very important to you. I would just want you to know I can't always help it. That's part of me coming out. But I'm telling you this now so that when it happens, you can remember that we had this conversation and you would give me some grace to make mistakes, to make a mess. Because that's the number one thing we're going to do right off the bat is screw things up.
Yeah.
She's got a plan that has been incubating in her mind, for years.
Yep.
And the first thing we do is start making all the wrong moves.
Break her plan.
Especially getting involved with that girl. Man, you got no business getting involved with that girl.
Well, no girl's good enough, too. So.
Yeah.
That's right. And part of the reason they're not good enough is they're taking my place.
Yeah.
Now they're going to get the affection?
Yeah.
They didn't hold you in their womb for 9 months.
Yeah, that's tough.
They didn't wipe your bum for the first decade of your life. Why are they getting all this favoritism?
In my house, I usually don't. I have good conversations with the kids, but my conversations are more basic conversations, you know. And I've always said to you guys, I like to bring it home with my kids. I don't get too crazy and too deep about everything. I kind of just go off of my experiences, but try to understand their times, which is a little tough, but I think it's getting better. One of the complaints that they've had at times is, you know, my mom's too deep. My mom gets too crazy with, you know, the religious factor and everything God. And, you know, she's just, you know, I ask her a simple question. So that kind of thing. And one of the things I prayed about this, and one of the things I said, you know, I need to not necessarily defend my wife, but they need to understand that her and I are together. Right. Even though we're separate, we're different, right?
Yeah.
So basically that's all I said. I said, I go, just look at this, okay? I go, none of us is perfect. Neither is your mother, myself, or you guys. I said, now, remember, women are wired different than men. I say, no, my experience is your dad is trying to get you ready for the fight out there. I said, you know, your dad believes in the Dukes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which your mother believes in that too, but she has a different way of fighting. That's with love. Now, we all understand in our home that God is love. But I think there's righteous love, sometimes meaning a little bit, you know, physical. And then sometimes there's words, there's kindness, there's empathy, which both are the same thing. But your mom's going to talk to you that way because she loves you so much. I don't even know what it's like to carry you. I said, put yourself in that situation where you carried your baby. And I couldn't have said it. I didn't say it the way you did, but I wish I would have known. I would have done this first. I would have said what you said. I said, but I can't even imagine what she feels when now she's fighting to still keep you close and you're pushing away.
Yeah.
Not because you don't like her, not because you don't love her, but it's because, Mom, you're crowding me. Mom, come on, get off of it.
How can it feel any other way than you're rejecting me?
Yeah.
So all that pushing away to a mother feels like, why are you rejecting me?
You're rejecting me, yeah.
After all I've done. You know, there's this, that's a mom line, you know? How, you know, the moms that take on the martyr status.
And you said a word that's, I've realized now how important it is for women. Rejection.
Yeah.
They don't do very well. We don't do well either, but we sweep it under the rug or try to do something else with it, try to figure it out. But women get crushed by that.
Yeah.
By being rejected because they just want to be, like you said, a part of it.
That's right. If you got a dad and a mom, take a look at them. They play different. They're playing a different game. The dad is helping you to go.
Yeah.
The mother is trying to help you to stay.
Yeah.
Because if she can get you to stay, then all of her tools are still relevant.
Yes.
But if you go, what is she going to do with all this?
Yeah. You're right. You're really, really right on it. At least that's the way you're helping me to see. It's funny because what you're saying, I'm able to go back and be like, you're right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine a mother and there's no dad?
Yeah.
This woman is like trying to keep it together, not look like she's weak, and try to show you that she's strong enough still to protect you. But to you, it may feel like, man, you know, she's just crowding me. She's just, you know, holding me back. But it's just the love. It's the love that she has for you.
So what's your play? You're a kid that in that age. How do you help your mom keep it together? Help her to soothe her wound, and at the same time maintain your launch status. I think, guys, you need to do for your mother what you're going to end up doing for your wife.
I was going to touch on something.
And that is, you got to see her emotion. You got to help her to thrive, help her to transition into a different role. And a lot of that is like, Mom, teach me how to make a turkey. Teach me something out of your skill set.
Yeah.
Man, that is so soothing to her.
Yes, it is.
For you to give her all the attention and to appreciate that. Yeah. How do I make a bed? You know, I want you to teach me to do the laundry. Oh, no, I'll do it. No, Mom, you've been doing it all my life. I need to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because someday you're not going to be here to do it. She'll say, no, I'm always here to do your laundry. You just need to come over every other day.
I don't know if this is said now in this generation, but I remember my dad and my mom both at different times would say, when I'm not home, you're the man of the house. Or my mom would say, well, when your dad's not here, you're the man of the house. Well, it didn't mean that I ran it however I wanted, but what it meant was they were welcoming me into stepping in. I'm some part of that so I can learn, because eventually I'm going to be a man of a home. So I'm thinking that one of the ways, which I did with my mother, you said it again, I asked her, show me how to wash my clothes. And she was like, oh yeah, she was all excited about it. And then she got in more than I wanted her to, but because she was so anxious to show me. And then I asked her, I want to learn how to cook the stuff that you cook. And so, you know what? And she did. So now in my house, my wife can wash my clothes, but I wash my clothes because I like it the way I wash it. And I don't put that on my wife. But if my clothes piles up, my wife will just grab it and say, I washed the clothes for you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But she knows that I don't have a problem with that. Cleaning, I don't have a problem with that. I do it at home. Dishes, stove, whatever. Cooking, they love my cooking. They love me to cook. So my wife and I cook together.
Yeah.
So see, I did those things because when I was going to leave and get married, I told my mom, I said, I want to be able to do these things on my own. And I didn't think that I would ever be divorced after I got married. But 10 years later, I got divorced and I had kids. I had 3 kids. And I was able to cook, clean, take care of the house, wash their clothes, take them to school because of all those things that my mother helped me with.
And that's very soothing to her to make that transition.
It really was.
My mom, on the other hand, went through a horrible divorce with my dad. And my dad left us. And I was right in my early teens, like right around 12, 13 years old. And so I became the man of the house. But not
you were
in the
her
good
only
way.
boy, right?
Yeah.
Man.
I had 3 sisters, my mom and my grandmother, and then I was me. But when my mom said, you're the man of the house, it wasn't an invitation to step up.
Yeah.
It was, you got to accept the role that your dad used to do.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not built for that.
Yeah.
I can't take that responsibility. But my mom had no ability to see that. She was so wounded in what she was going through. And so that meant she wanted me to be around so she could talk to me every night about what's going on. That's what she would do with my dad. In a lot of ways, she wanted me to kind of take her out. Let's go to a movie. Let's go, some things to just dance on the edge of creepiness, But I saw that she's just horribly wounded and she has nowhere to turn with this wound.
Yeah.
And I am a man, 13 years old, totally incompetent. Why wouldn't she lean on me?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't she think that I owe her that after everything she did for me?
Yeah.
That mother guilt,
Yeah.
In some cultures, when you get married, because you're the man, your wife moves into her home. And she assumes the head. Like I had some friends at work from Pakistan, and they had arranged marriages, which was really a whole crazy subject. But I was talking to one of them, and she was a neurologist. She was a doctor. I mean, highly educated woman. And I said, "How is that?" And I had a million questions, but the one good thing I said, she says, is, "Well, when you get married, you don't expect to be the woman of the house. You're coming into another woman's home." And so, like they maintain that relationship where the son stays in with the family and the wife is grafted into the family. I wonder which way is more right.
Yeah.
Because I kind of still think families should hold together like tribes. Like my dream is to have a property where all my kids can live on it.
Yeah.
I love that communal type feel with my family, I wonder if maybe, and I see sometimes in Asian families, they'll have the in-laws in the house with them.
Yeah.
And then they have a place for them, like they have a function in that house.
I
They
know
do a
families
job.
like that.
Yeah. So they're not just off to the side. They play a role, whether it's watching the kids, driving to school, or cooking. And I wonder if that's maybe the approach too.
I agree with you.
Well, the culture has a lot to do with it. I mean, it comes from way back. But you know what? You bring something very interesting that I respect culture. I love culture. I love my culture. Okay. But I don't feel that I have to stick to it. I mean, if you do something out of the box in your family, they're going to get upset. They're going to be like, ooh.
Yeah.
But hey, this is my household now.
Yeah.
So this is the way that, and then my wife, if she's from a different culture, she's going to contribute something different. So we can kind of collaborate together as to what comes out of that. I mean, that would be the whole thing. I had the situation where when I first got married, my first marriage, we actually moved in together because we talked about a plan, and it was a wonderful plan, but the Hispanic culture is very different, where the new wife feels this is my home. This is my husband. You're not going to tell me how to do that. I know he was your son.
Yeah.
And then the mother feels like, well, this is my son. I know better.
Right.
I know what he likes, what he wants.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So then that.
Yeah, the mother's saying my volume of knowledge about him is so much more
And I
than
remember
yours.
being put in a position, man, where literally my mother felt I was denying her. And then my wife felt that I was a mama's boy, and I was in the middle of it going like, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
How do I deal with you two? Because my dad and I were fine, but it was just the two women, and eventually we lasted like another 6 months, and then my parents were like, we're just going to get our own home. And they can afford their own home, but they were doing it so we could help each other.
Right.
But
Right.
then it just split up.
But would you guys agree that you should put your wife first?
I think so.
Yeah.
You have to.
I
at
think
that point.
you should put your wife first, but you shouldn't kick your mom to the curb.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, she sat on that egg for so long. I'm not going to be like, or from this point on, my wife is, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that.
Yeah.
But your wife wants you to do that. Is kick your mom to the curb.
But some moms could be very unhealthy about it.
Yeah.
And the wives will suffer, and they'll
Yeah.
actually interfere with the marriage.
It's a tough.
In the end,
Yeah.
your loyalty has to go to your wife.
Has to,
That's
yeah.
what it means to leave and cleave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you can work it and give your mother a role, an expectation, like we're gonna, come for dinner once a month on the last Sunday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Give her some things to expect, some
Yeah.
routines. I'm gonna call you on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
This is what comes to my mind out of all of this in a nutshell is just don't forget who your mother is, who she was in your life up to where you're at, and who she is for the rest of your life. Because that is the one person, I believe, that loves you like nobody else.
Right.
Outside of Christ for us. But a mother will give her life, for you. It's like, what is it? The lioness or something will rather eat her young than let another animal kill it. And it's not out of viciousness, it's out of love for the cubs. I think one of those, the lion or the tiger or something like that.
That sounds very creepy to me.
But I've heard that before. I didn't research it, but I've heard that either the lioness or whatever, one of those felines would rather eat her young than let another animal kill it and drag it away and eat it. And I'm not saying that your mom is a dog or a lion or whatever, but what I'm saying is their love, I've experienced. If it wasn't for my mother's love, I would have ended up pretty bad because my father was into the drinking thing, and my mother tried really hard to not allow me, with everything she had, to go in that way. And I used to think she was a pain in the butt. I used to think that she was just, oh, come on, man. But as I got older, I understood. Yet I never saw it the way you put it today. And that's, she's in heaven, but that speaks even louder to me. So guys, I just think whatever character you can build or whatever relationship you can build with your mother throughout will have something to do how you feel as to how you feel about your wife or a young lady that you're dating. Because if you can be gentle and kind and loving towards a female, understand that how they're wired very different. They move basically on love and emotional love, and they're not perfect. If you can grasp that and just give them, like you said, hey, mom, you don't even have to take her out. If you just tell her, teach me this, teach me that, you make her day. But if you could say, hey, mom, I'm going to take you to lunch, or, mom, and just say thank you for, I think that would go really far with you. With her, forget it. She could reach the stars with that. But with you, I think it would go really far.
Yeah, it's going to.
And you start learning. I think that's the first class in learning how to be a man to a woman. how to treat a woman. You know, there is a saying, I don't know how true it is the way you treat your mother is the way you're going to treat your wife. So, I mean, I don't know how much bearing that has, but
and beware of the guy that is laying back on his mother's labor like he's laying in a hammock.
Yeah.
Like taking advantage of everything that she's got to offer. You know, we're dads, okay? We're trying to give you these tips so that you can do it right with your mom. And she'll feel honored, but she won't interfere in the launch of your life. In fact, she'll be a booster and really help you. And since we're on a roll and we're almost done with this segment, why don't we roll right into talking about difficult dads? Let's end this show and then we'll kick off another one. And let's see how we can give you some tips how to deal with your problematic father who really does want to eat you. So,
Sounds good. All right, great.
all right, let's pray. Lord, I just pray for all the moms.
Yes.
There's a mom behind every guy and girl listening to this podcast right now. And I just pray for them that they would be showered with love and with honor that would nourish them and help heal those wounds of letting go. In the name of Jesus.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.